Hey guys, it's Lisa and welcome to my channel. Today we're going to be making this heart, and then I'm also going to show you how to make a couple of different DIY flowers. But I had this heart at my house and I use it all year round, but it's really pretty to add to your Valentine decor. And I bought it at I don't know if I bought it at a gift shop or maybe even an antique store. I've had it several years. But I saw this little tin at the thrift store and decided that I could replicate that look. Now I'm not going to try to make it look like the aged tin that the other one is made from, and I may do another one later and try to do that because I do like that look. But I just decided on this one it was quicker just to go ahead and paint this in the drop cloth by Dixie Belle. And then add some antiquing wax to it to give it a little bit more of an aged look. And I go over this entire thing except for the bottom of the inside because we're going to be gluing to that 2 times with 2 coats, and it covers really well. Now I wouldn't have had to paint the inside as it turns out here on the edges. So, you know, I would paint the very top of the sides, but I wouldn't paint down in it if I had it to do again because it really doesn't show at all when you get finished. And here I'm trying a new brand of antiquing wax, and this is Kills. And I really was happy with how it worked out. I was being really careful in the beginning not to go overboard, and then decided to just kind of go heavy because I'm going to go over this with some baby wipes, and it wouldn't have been enough if I hadn't went back over it some more. And I even go back over it with another coat because I want it to be heavily aged. But I did like this brand of wax. The only brand of dark wax that I don't use much is the Waverly. I love their white wax, but I don't use the darker because something about the color of it, I just can't ever get that color right. It seems like it has some red in it. I know a lot of people have said that they really like that brand, and maybe it's just a matter of taste, but it's just really not my favorite. So I give this whole thing a couple of coats, and then I'm going to move on to the next step. Now, I did a video before on how to make these paper roses, and I'm going to show you again because I showed you some different roses, and some of my previous videos I got out of frame more than I wanted to, so I'm trying to do this close-up video to make it more obvious how I did this. And as you can see, I just put a little dot in the center and glue 2 coffee filters together, and then I just kind of cup them up over my hand and squish them together. I know I'm not doing a very good job of explaining what I'm doing, but because I'm doing it close up, maybe you can see what I'm doing. So I just take 2 here. Now I make mine up ahead of time is the reason I'm having to undo them and do them back. But I just want to show you on these first ones how I'm doing it. Just a little dot in the middle there, and then glue those 2 together, and then just kind of squish them up over my fingers and squish them together. And then because this is not a very deep dish, I fold that bottom over so it won't be too tall. And just glue that in, and I'm just going to glue a whole lot of those in here, just as many as I can fit in. And the reason my coffee filters are not white is because I like to coffee stain them. I know you can buy these already tan, but I don't like that look. I like to just take my white coffee filters and dip them in strong coffee, and then just kind of wring them out and lay them somewhere to dry. And it also kind of crumples them up some and makes them look more like roses when we get done with them. And so there you see I'm just putting that dot in the middle and then just kind of squishing it up together. It's just a really simple flower to do. And the more of these that you put into this, the more it looks like roses. And I highly suggest using a small glue gun on this with a low temp, because you will get, when you're trying to tuck that down in there with that glue, you will get glue on your fingers. So I wouldn't use a high temp gun here. And the reason you see a little pink on some of these filters is because coffee staining is not the only thing I do to these. Sometimes I'll take some of them and put them in water with a few drops of paint to add just a little bit of color to them. And I actually meant to use all of the just coffee stained ones here, but I did let a few of those get in, and I was okay with that look. Now, because this is not just flat, I can set this up, which is how I display mine at home. But, you could take a ribbon and attach it to the top and hang this somewhere. But this is all that I do to mine. And I know on the other one, they had like a little center in it, but I wanted to keep this one just the way it is. And that was really simple to do and didn't really take that long. So that lid there, I may try one with it. I think I may do something different with it. I could fill that one with one of the flowers that I'm going to do later. I won't do it on this video, but and there I've held that up out of the way. But there it is finished. And now we'll move on to our flowers. The first one, I'm using the Warm and Natural fabric that you get in the batting section at Walmart in the craft department. And so I just cut me a strip, and it doesn't matter the width of it, because this works out whatever width you do it. If you want a large flower, you would do a larger, a wider piece. There's that Warm and Natural there. That's how you buy it at Walmart. And so I just take a bead of glue all the way down and just glue this into like a cylinder shape. And then, not on the side that I glued, but on the other side, then I'm just cutting little slits as close as you can get down without cutting your piece in half. And sometimes that happens, and you just have to start over. But you want to cut them all down, just and you can go as far apart as you want. It just creates different looks. But I'm going pretty close on this one. And actually, the closer that you go, the easier the flower is to form when you're doing it small. So now we're just going to start on the outer edge of the circle that I cut. And I just cut those circles out of index cards. And just to have a base to work off of. You could use just different items for that. You could actually use a part of a canning lid. The flat part of a canning lid would work really well for these, depending on what you were putting it on. But just anything that is round. You could even use a round piece of cloth. But I'm just going to glue that down all the way around. Now, when I get here to the edge, I could stop and then put a big button in the center, and that would be a flower. But because I've already cut this whole piece, I'm just going to keep going here until I use up the whole piece. And then that will be a flower that will be finished on the inside already, because we'll just be able to fluff it up and make it finished. Now, with these, I do, even when I make them complete like this, I do kind of force something down in the center and still give it a center, and that's a pretty look also. Another little rosette down in the center is really pretty. But you can kind of do whatever you want to with these. But like I said, you could just stop here and it would be a pretty flower. And you don't have to use this Warm and Natural. You can use a number of fabrics for this. Just whatever you can get to work. Most fabrics will work. But this Warm and Natural is just real easy to work with. And there, that one is finished. I do go back later and add a little rosette in the center of it, but it could be complete right there. Now we're going to move on to one of the other flowers, and this one is a rosette. And I decided, since I'm already working with this Warm and Natural, that I would just cut a thinner strip of it and use that for my rosette. And it doesn't take a very long piece, so I didn't make this as long as the other. So this one is very simple, and the good thing about using this Warm and Natural is it's a bulkier fabric, so it's going to make my rose bulkier. So I just kind of wad that end up and glue it to the center of my circle. Now, like I said, you could use bigger if you want. It would be hard to go much smaller, especially with this fabric, but you could go as large as you want. So I just work my way around that little center, and I'll add a little dot of glue and twist it one way and glue that down and kind of squish it up together to keep your rose taller. And then add another dot of glue, and every now and then twist it in the opposite direction. But obviously you're going to keep going in the same direction gluing it, but you'll twist your fabric in the opposite direction, just like I did there. And it just kind of adds more dimension to your flower. And you just keep going until you get the paper covered. And you could actually keep going further than that, because I've made these roses many times without any circle on the back. Once you get used to making these, you don't have to have a base. It just makes it easier. I use these little flowers to embellish just about anything, but I'm going to be showing you what they look like on jars. And I may do a video on that before long, because there's so many things you can do with jars, and actually just a sock. So I just keep gluing it until I run out of fabric here. Now, if I don't want it any bigger, then all I have to do is just cut that off. And I may do that on this one. I can't remember if I have to cut this one or not, but you can just cut it off and glue that the rest of it, or the end of it, down. But it's looking like I used the whole thing here. These are fun to experiment with and use different types of fabric and different sizes of print. No, I cut a little piece off there. But it's very fun to work with these and just make all kinds. And sometimes I'll just sit down for hours and make flowers, and then when I'm ready to do my craft, then I already have my flowers ready to embellish with. Now here I'm cutting a strip of lace, and obviously I can't rip that, but I cut a strip of lace. So I'm going to take a strip of lace and a strip of fabric, and the fabric that I'm using here is just a piece of a tea towel. But I'm just going to attach those together with some hot glue on the end, and then when I go to make my rosette and I'm twisting, then I'm just twisting those two together. And so it just adds a little bit more interest to your flower, a little bit more dimension, and just kind of adds to the look of it. And like I said, here's where you can experiment and do pretty much anything with these that you want. But I make a lot of flowers, but I probably make more of this type of flower. I know I make more of this type of flower than any, because it's just, I think they're really pretty as embellishments. And just like with the other flower, I'm just going to twist it one way for a little bit and then twist it the other way. But like I said, it's just as easy. The only difference is you're twisting both of those together instead of one at a time. I'm trying to stay in frame here a lot better than I did with the last time I did these. But that's definitely something that I've struggled with. But I'm also trying to do these more close up than I did last time, because if you're not looking at it closely, it's a little harder to get. And then this will be the last flower that I'll be doing. And then I'll show you later how I use them to embellish some other items. And here again is another reason that you need to use a low temp glue gun on these, because I get it all over my fingers, and you can see it on my thumb there. But I never burn myself because I just don't use those high tip guns when I'm working with items like this. And there you can see where I put a button in the middle of that one flower. And it made it look a little bit like a daisy. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope that you've enjoyed this video, and I hope I've inspired you to make some flowers of your own. Have a great day.